Hi, everyone. Welcome to Office Hours, where we answer your media questions 7 days a week. Let's go ahead and jump into those questions. Alex, what do we got?
First one is coming in this morning from Mike Edwards in Brooklyn, New York. Morning, everyone. What does the panel think of the GLI-Net Comet Pro KVM? Where does it stack in the lineup for production remote KVMs?
Good, Guy.
Yeah, I'm not sure on the professional high end, like the adders and whatnot, but as far as this line, I'm shocked that they have this Comet Pro that's on the Kickstarter campaign that got over $750,000, because I own this one here, Comet, which I'll show you in a second, which is the one on the left. They have a new one that's the Comet PoE, and basically for under $100, this thing with tail scale allows you to remote into a machine. So this is a machine that is an NDI bridge machine that I let Oliver. We're running some tests. So Oliver's in Germany, and he has access to this machine. One of the cool things about this, though, is that you can restart machines. So if you watch the Comet Pro video, they'll show you where you could, if you have a PC, you can actually restart the machine via an ATX motherboard card. But they have this thing called the finger. I wish I had it queued up to where you could see what the finger does. But it's an accessory that you can hit a button, a physical button. So if you needed to restart a Mac, you can have this thing called the finger that would actually press that button from Germany. So if Oliver needed to log in this machine and then restart it, he could actually do it from Germany. But let me show you what that process looks like. So you hit remote control, it pops up like this. Why is this better than Splashtop? It's you buy it once and then you own it. So for $79, or no, I think it's $89 now. So this is our NDI bridge machine. And you could see that in the settings here, you have the ability to actually select different qualities. So if you're playing some high quality video, like if this was hooked up to a DaVinci Resolve machine, you could go ultra high and you could crank up the frame rate. It's a really cool device for the money. And again, I don't know what the adders and some of these other high end that cost $1,000, but this is a basic KVM, and they're just selling a ton of these things. I think on Amazon I saw 6,000 sold this month of the regular Comet, but you don't really need that one that you're referring to, that one that's called the Wi-Fi one. I don't think anybody needs to do KVM over Wi-Fi, but maybe you do.
Go ahead, Jason.
Not unrelated to pushing buttons remotely, I have a thing called a switch bot that I really like. The GLI.net Comet Pro is okay. There are plenty of similar KVMs. In general, the more you spend, they tend to be more reliable, but not always.
Yeah, a lot of these hardware solutions is something that we wanted desperately, a decade ago, working on virtual events, being able to have someone, for instance, be able to present somewhere remotely and be able to just be logged into the machine that we actually, being able to send them a small bit of hardware that would allow us to do this would be very useful. So anyway, I think that it'll be interesting to see. It's a nice looking device. So if I was going to send it out to a client, it seems like a solid piece of machinery, which sometimes matters. Next question.
This one is coming in from the QR code. Bob in Canada is asking, is there a decent, completely wireless system with near zero latency to integrate with an audio interface for guitar and headphones? Quality isn't a huge factor. Not looking to break the bank so I can chuck Barry around my room without restrictions.
Go ahead, Courtney.
Well, it depends on how much latency you can tolerate. Most of these digital wireless mics have a little bit of latency, maybe 4 to 5 milliseconds. But the problem is if you're looking for a wireless connection for your guitar to a computer or somewhere you're going to stream, and wireless IFB or wireless headphones so you can listen at the same time, you might want to go with analog wireless. The Sennheiser EW series, the 512P, you could get those. I don't know how much money you're wanting to spend, but the problem is the cheaper wireless systems, the 2.4 gigahertz, they're pretty low latency. I guess you could use the one with 2 transmitters, use one to transmit back to you and one to transmit to like a Rodecaster that has a built-in receiver. And that way you could use the receiver as your headphone monitoring back and use use the other second transmitter to transmit from your computer back to your receiver headphones. That's one solution with those. But you'll have that round trip latency, so you'll have two transmitters in line, and so the resulting latency getting back to your ears is going to be double what the standard wireless mic latency is. So you have to deal with that.
Good, Ronnie.
Yeah, following Courtney, I'm thinking that try to get some of the Sennheiser, the older one, the EV100 or even the EV series, EW series, maybe on a used marketplace. They are really, really good, and they have the frequency areas that are kind of not in the crowded space, so that you will probably have problems with the cheaper ones. All the cheaper ones that I've taken a look at is really, really problematic, and sometimes in the 2.4 gigahertz space, and that's where everything is going for the local Wi-Fi. So take a look at that. I have had examples of people using Rode Go with the microphone input and just a level in between those connected to a guitar. For a really, really low-cost solution, the Rode Go's can go both ways. So if you have the single channel with one receiver and one transmitter, you can have that sending from your guitar to your, and this is 2.4 gigahertz. You can have that going to your sound card, and then return the headphone out to the other transmitter, which goes the other way, and you can use that as a headphone. I wouldn't recommend that. I've seen that being done, and it's kind of working, but it's a hack. Another thing that you can be looking into, and this is more like buy once, cry once. It's still an analog system, so it's not as expensive as the new digital ones, but this one from Sennheiser for in-ear is actually the same that I'm using here. It's called the XSWIEM, and just make sure that you have the correct frequency, and this is how the receiver is looking, and it's stereo. So basically you can have two different channels, either pan to each of the ears, or you can have them being made mono in your receiver, and it's quite a good product for the price. It's still analog, so you could be picking up noise, but I see no problem in that in your scenario.
Now go ahead, Alex.
Well, Bob, Chuck Berry in the 60s had no wireless, and he ran around the stage just fine with a cable going into his guitar. I don't understand
Alex
why you want
Knight,
to use
the curmudgeon.
I mean, I don't get it. I say this because people ask me about this stuff all the time, and they want wireless, and they want it for nearly $0 so they can do karaoke in their house when they're 6 feet away from a speaker. I don't understand it.
Because wireless is pretty awesome.
If you really wanted to do that, what Ronnie suggested could work the XSW line. They do have a plug-on transmitter system for guitars specifically, so it's a plug-on both for the transmitter and receiving end. But again, I'm not sure how you would define also not looking to break the bank. So, you're even with the Sennheiser stuff, which is 2.4 gigahertz spectrum, you're still looking at spending, $300 or $350 or whatever they charge for that thing, plus the cost of the in-ear system. X-Vive, which I think is a Chinese company, they have a mono in-ear monitor system that is wireless, that is good for up to 75 feet, that is also 2.4. It's less money. It's about half the cost of the XSW system, but it's not as good. And again, it's one of those things with wireless is that I just find these inexpensive 2.4 gigahertz systems not really particularly worth it. And the use case of using those Rode Wireless Go systems as headphones, do not recommend that. I've tried it because customers have heard that you can do that, and the headphone, the voltage that comes out of there to power headphones oftentimes is not fantastic, and you won't get very much volume out of those headphones. I think they improved that with the newer Series 3 wireless Go's, but the previous generation one was not good enough for that. So I'd really try to suggest that you not do this and just use a copper wire.
Go ahead, Courtney.
And one tip for you, if you're going to plug your guitar into one of these wireless mics that almost all of them that have 3.5 millimeter jacks on them have plug-in power turned on automatically because they're used to powering lavaliers if you're going in at a mic level, which is probably what you need to do for that guitar. You might want to see if you can turn off the plug-in power, or you might have to get an adapter that'll block the DC coming back to the guitar. Because you don't want that magnetic pickup having DC across it, because every time you move that cable around, you'll get this. And so you'll sound like Chuck Berry going into his crappy old amplifier that he used to have on stage and insist on using.
Good Guy.
Yeah, I have some really nice Sennheiser headphones that have a lot of what they call caliper pressure, so it really squeezes your head. And for Unity, for folks that don't need to talk, if they just need to hear, I bought one of these little, they're like $27 Bluetooth transmitters, and this might work for you, where it basically plugs into the headphone and then it turns, actually that one's the other way around. The one that I bought, sorry, I was looking really fast for it, but basically it takes the headphone out of a device through Bluetooth and then gives you the 1/8-inch mini back so you can plug it into your headphone. So look on Amazon for these $20, $30 devices and see what the latency is like. I have those Sennheiser XS over here, but I've been digging on this to use my my Sennheiser headphones with the Unity app.
Go, Jason.
To me, wireless body pack systems that don't disappoint and don't require further thought, otherwise known as real wireless solutions, start at about $1,000. And in this case, I've used this Shure P3RA pretty much since the beginning of office hours, and it has never disappointed me.
Next question.
This one is from Andre Delay in Berlin. Recommendations for a small Dante-ready PoE switch to bundle with our DM7.
I go, Jason.
Okay, you can't go wrong with the Netgear AV series, and if you know what you're doing, then you can also do similar things with Ubiquiti. There's a web page that says Pro AV Traffic Optimization, and then it has an entire list of all the things that are supported, and that'll cost less than the Netgear.
Yeah, and depends on what you need. Just to be clear, I mean, the Netgear ones are great. Also, an unmanaged Netgear is like 16-port PoE. I think plus is like $180 or $190, and Dante will work over it if you're not sharing it with anything else. so the thing that you want to look at is what's important is that the Dante chips exist, and that now when things get complicated is when you say I want my network to share the network with other things. Now everything is complicated. You have to figure things out. But I will say that there's plenty of Dante that I've managed with unmanaged switches. I have a Netgear, this Netgear that I'm talking about right now. I think this is the Netboard 16-port gigabit, whatever, is the one sitting on my desk right here. I have nothing else managing the Dante, and it runs everywhere, and it works just fine. So where you need to have more control is when you start saying, I want to put a bunch of other things into that network. But if you have switches, and make sure that if there's any management at all or anything in there, you turn off any kind of eco settings. That's the thing that is the bane of every Dante, every Dante network. But a very inexpensive unmanaged switch works just fine if you're not sharing the transport with anything else. And even if you are, it'll work most of the time too. Next question.
This one is from David Brady in New York City, New York, using BitFocus buttons. Is it possible to register control surfaces on a public network segment and have all modules and actions trigger devices on a private VLAN?
Go ahead, Ronnie.
Yeah, as long as you are setting up the port forwarding or opening the network to the VLAN that you are running BitFocus Companion or buttons on, it shouldn't be a problem. So this is more a network configuration question rather than a BitFocus buttons or companion question. So setting your routing up correctly, it will work flawlessly. I've done that a couple of times.
Next question.
This one is from Mike Edwards in Brooklyn, New York. Morning, everyone. Has anyone from the panel test-driven the Elgato Network Dock as yet? If yes, any feedback on it?
Go, Guy.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's right here. So here it is plugged in via PoE, and then you get this short little tail cable. And then I'm running Companion on mine. You can run the native Stream Deck app. And then you've got your buttons. And this is talking to a Mac Mini M4 that's down the hall. And I can put anything in Companion that I want. In this case, I have Mix Effect, and I can press these buttons, and it changes my ATEM super source all the way. And I could be doing this from anywhere. But yeah, they are very cool, and that's how small they are. There is a little thing that comes with them that's like a piece of adhesive that I haven't stuck on yet, because I'm not sure if I'm going to keep it in this one, but inside the box is a piece of adhesive so that it'll lock in place. And depending on how you're going to use it, if you're going to mount it or just use it with its existing stand. But yeah, pretty cool device for $79.89.
So to be clear, this goes with a Stream Deck. So this is a little network box. So you have this little box here. You add this basically to your Stream Deck. And that makes it it's not, oops, sorry, button. It's not that it is a Stream Deck. It is that you add it to the Stream Deck to add network capability.
So yeah, when you buy it, this is what ships. You get this little thing right here. I don't know how good my autofocus is, but that's the device, what it looks like. And then you stick it inside of your Stream Deck. I think it works with any Stream Deck, but I've been using it with a 32. And one of the big questions on the Companion Facebook group is, can it work with local plus network? And the answer is absolutely yes. So I have mine, as you can see here. I have this one right here that's in my hand, and then I have another XL that's hooked up to this Mac Mini M4 just to help answer a question that was in one of the forums, and it's working great. So highly recommend. Cool device if you have a need. I mean, I love it just because it's more stable than USB. I feel like I can hook up 4 of these for a show, and then when we come out to deploy, I'd rather have just my switch plugged in with PoE than a bunch of USB, which is what we do now. It always freaks me out that we have a MacBook with a dock, USB dock that could fail, and it always freaks me out because it's like a $20 dock, and I'm like, ooh, failure point, and that's the whole show, you know, yeah. Is a constellation and $1 million worth of stuff all relying on a $20 dock.
No, don't do it. You never want to explain that problem to a client. Go ahead, Jason.
Yep, mine is actually down the hall. Have it, use it, and absolutely love it. I share Guy's sentiment and concerns, and so far it's been very stable. In the long run, I hope to replace most, if not all, of my Stream Decks, or augment them, I guess, not replace them, so that I don't really have to think of what's connected to where. Previously, I used Raspberry Pis for the same purpose, and it was just an unnecessary lift.
Next question.
This was a QR code question from Neil T. in London, UK. Need a KVM switch between 2 PCs, Windows 10 and Windows 11. Single monitors on each, keyboard and mouse. The ones I've tried all act the same. When you switch, it's like someone pulled, then replugged a cable. Old unit held the connections and switched seamlessly.
Courtney?
Well, I think we can blame the ghost of Jack Valente for this, because he was head of AMPTP when they insisted that all hardware manufacturers, when they came up with HDMI, automatically renegotiate the connection and turn on and off HDCP. So every time it detects a new monitor or a new HDMI connection, it has to go through this handshake, turn off the video, renegotiate. Are you only a monitor? Okay, turn it back on. So what you need is a special KVM that supports a consistent EDID. So it spoofs the EDID on the 2 computers to think it's always hooked up to a monitor. And it's best always to have both of your computers set to the same resolution and bit depth, color depth. So this one here, I think, will do it. I have not used this. This is a Fantech, I think, about $123, but it does say it supports EDID spoofing, and it specifically talks about EID emulators in there, so that the dual monitors have a consistent EDID connection, and they will not that way they will not try and renegotiate the resolution. And are you a monitor, or are you a recording device trying to steal our movies? So it automatically keeps them hooked up and in sync. Not necessarily sync, but your monitor may take a second to adjust if it's a different resolution, but if it's the same resolution, it should be fairly seamless switch.
Yeah, the Blackbird that I use, it's an 8x8 matrix, will definitely do that. I mean, it has ways that you can set it manually, or you can watch it. It'll watch between two monitors, and then you can lock it. So there's a couple different ways to do that. And of course, Monoprice makes a couple of them that are smaller. So this is one of the smaller versions of that, of the 8x8. This is just a 2x1, I think. Yeah, so a couple different options there. Next question.
This one is another QR code question from Nelson Medina in Manila, Philippines. We are planning a fully virtual event and want to communicate with talent while we are live. What signal flow works best for this for both live and back channels?
Go ahead, Ronnie.
Yeah, so as I understand the question, it's probably about audio going into in-ear or something that the presenter or the host, etc., can be listening to. So depending on how beautiful they need to be, choose an in-ear that is really small and have that either cabled or wireless, like I have here with the Sennheiser XSW in-ear body pack and a transmitter on stage hidden somewhere. That's probably the easiest way, and then you route the information or talkback microphone or talkback channel back into the in-ears, in addition to whatever else you would add to the in-ear if there are a lot of stuff. Just be aware that talking to an on-screen talent while they are talking is never a good idea. Another thing that we have been doing a lot, where the people are not, the people presenting are not really professional and used to listening to in-ear commands or have talkback microphones in their ear, is to utilize something like the stage timer or Rundown Studio. And what we can do there is to send messages back to the display in front of them. So we have this display here that we can show messages to. That can either be a separate display, or it can be a part of a multi-view display in front of them on the floor, in a kind of a bay in front of them on the stage. Or it can be at strategic places where you know that these people will be looking. Could be hanging below the camera that are their main camera, and other places that you know. Even up in the ceiling is also a good position, so that they can take a look at the messages, and you can use stage timer to blink these messages to get their attention, etc. But normally this is agreed up in advance, so that they know what messages they will be getting during the broadcast.
I'm going to answer this in a couple different ways, because I think that what you were looking for, Nelson, is a fully virtual event and how we communicate. So we might not be using IFBs, but I agree with everything else that Ronnie was talking about. What we do is generally in person, we are using IFBs. That's the number one way we want to put it in. Now, the question is, how do you get that IFB into their ear? There's obviously the old-fashioned, kind of curly cue that you go down to. We try to avoid those just because I find them unsightly, and and oftentimes people will turn their head around like this, and next thing you know, you got this big thing hanging out. So I try to avoid it. If you are going to use one of those, little tip is that you want to put it in their ear, and then you don't want to put it right behind their back. Usually if they have a smaller head, you'll kind of go back until it feels just a little taut, and then come back a little bit so that it's just enough so that you really kind of keep it trimmed back there. We tend to use, if we're using wired, we tend to move to Ear Heroes, is the thing that we've used the most for. There's a lot of different versions of that. But the Ear Heroes are the ones that we've used the most in the past. They have nice little tiny wire that is very hard to see to do that. And then for the highest end events where we have enough control over the location, we'll use Phonax. Phonax are the little, if you ever watch a spy movie, they put the little thing in their ear that doesn't really work the way it would work, because it only works about 50 feet. So anyway, so it's an ear hearing device. It's got, you just pop it in. A note, by the way, that little thing that sticks out is not an antenna. It's just there so you can pull it out of your ear. So anyway, so you put those in, and we've used those a lot when it really has to look completely seamless. So those are the things we use for in-ear. Of course, in the back end, if we hand it to a producer, we just hand them a mic with a switch. Here's an SM58 with a switch. If you want to talk to them, turn the switch on and speak into the mic. But if we're going to talk to them, we tie that back into our comms, whether that's a ClearComm or Readle or whatever else we're using. We're going to tie that into just a button that I can talk to, that anybody given that button can talk to the host. And as Ronnie said, we're very touchy about who gets to talk to them, through that. Now, when we do this online, I will admit that most of the time we're using, we're looking at doing, what we'd like to do is work with Jonas to use space comms, but what we mostly use is we will send people Unity and teach them how to use it. I've got this little tutorial on how to install it. So a little PDF, like here's the PDF and it opens up and you do this thing. And and so when they're on their computer, it just runs the same way we do it on this show. It runs as a separate unit. And but we teach them how to use it so that they can put it into their headphones. And of course, you don't want to have any open speakers, so everyone's got to have in-ears. And in general, for a virtual event, if you're doing a fully virtual event, everybody should have in-ears. So you got to figure out how they're going to hear the event and you through a pair of headphones. Do not let people, unless you are under extreme duress, do not let people have open speakers ever. For a virtual event, it destroys the full duplex communication. As soon as one person has open speakers, it kind of ruins the rest of the event. Like it doesn't ruin it. It just seriously degrades it. So you want to get people, and I know people will say, I do this all the time. Try not to smack them on the forehead when they do that. Next question.
This one's from Paul Valhus in Austin, Texas. Why get a physical KVM when you can do the same thing with a Splashtop, RemotePC, RealVNC, or TeamViewer, etc.?
Go ahead, Guy.
Yeah, it really depends on what you're trying to do. So I have a physical KVM to switch between 4 computers that are sitting in front of me, so I can just hit the button and use this same keyboard and mouse. But I use the heck out of Splashtop to talk to machines here, AWS, and other people's machines so that I can open up multiple at the same time. So one of the cool things about Splashtop is I could have my Mac, my PC, I could have 4 things open and just move those around and then, hide those windows when I need them and when I don't need them. But I do have this little button that I push. You'll see for like $50, you get these little KVMs on Amazon. And when you push the button, it swaps over and there is a little bit of a lag, a delay. But it just, again, depends on what you're trying to do and how much speed that you need. But one of the things that I do like, and I'll show it in the next question, is the ability, like we were talking about in that other question regarding the ability to restart. There's nothing worse than using Splashtop and having the computer not show up. And you're like, there's nobody there to restart it. So you need something like this fingerbot thing that'll physically press the button and restart it. So that's the fingerbot from GLINet. So if you do get one of those KVM things, this adheres. It's like $20. It's not much, but you attach it to like a PC or a Mac, and then it pushes that button on a command.
Those guys think of everything.
That's very cool. Well, they have this in Mac Stadium. So in Mac Stadium, when you rent a computer from them, you can physically restart it. They've developed a Raspberry Pi thing that physically pushes the button for you when you log into their web interface. So that's one of the joys of using Mac Stadium is you could physically restart that machine.
We have our Unity that we use for shows, for what I know, on Mac Stadium, and it's just such a great company to work with. If you're looking for a Mac in the cloud, that's really a great place to look. Go ahead, Courtney.
Yeah, we usually use one of the old X10 rocket connectors to automatically power down the remote PC and power it back up again with an automated script for the ones that got hung. Well, one reason you don't necessarily want to use a Splashtop or TeamViewer or any of the other remote desktop software is with a KVM that's hooked up over wires, there's no overhead on any of the computers. It's just monitoring that keyboard signal and looking for a key, or sometimes it has, like Guy was saying, a remote button to switch between inputs. So you don't have to have any special software loaded on any of the computers. And it's not compressing and decompressing that video screen as it sends it to you. It's just sending the raw video signals over the HDMI cables. So there's no overhead in any of your computers. Also, sometimes if you're trying to watch Netflix or something, they're looking for VNCs these days, I think, to prevent people from using them outside their primary service area. So that might kind of stymie you if you want to do something like that, if you're using Splashtop or any of the virtual network connections.
Jason?
because proper hardware, properly installed and connected, will outperform and outlast software. And more importantly, the two are not mutually exclusive, so kind of reject the premise.
David Brady said in all caps, security. Next question.
This one's from Scott Mueller in Germantown, New York. How do we preserve trust in the video medium in a post-AI world where it's hard to trust your eyes and ears as to what is real? Authentication could be a huge industry in the future. How would manufacturers, NLEs, or video platforms achieve this?
Go ahead, Courtney.
Well, the problem with authentication and AI-generated imagery is, you have to agree on a standard. And you're dealing with stuff that can be used for propaganda. So, it's dangerous. And there's lots of, countries around the world that may not sign on to your standard and agree to properly handle security in that fashion to detect something that has been AI generated. So authentication really isn't going to work on an international basis. You could have it within a corporation, for example. But once you step outside the real world, your local world into the real world, you just can't trust anything anymore. I would not, there's watermarks, but those can be removed easily. And then there's, steganography, which is basically an embedded watermark that's not visible, but people will engineer ways around it, the authentication process. So I wouldn't depend on anything in this post-AI world. Just don't trust anything that comes in over your computer anymore.
Go ahead, Jason.
We shouldn't 10 years ago. We shouldn't 20 years ago. We shouldn't. Straight up, we shouldn't. One is not a substitute for the other. It doesn't matter how or where it's generated. It doesn't matter if it was shot on a soundstage. None of that matters, and it is no different in this post-AI world. A single point of a record of anything is the reason that proper journalism requires more than one independent verification. Straight up.
Ben Franklin made stories up about his competitors and put it into his papers and so on and so forth. It has been the case for a very, very long time. So I think that what's important is that I completely agree with Jason. We should never have done that. And it's not just, if you don't understand the context of the content that is being shot, you don't understand what the content is. If I go to a political rally and there aren't very many people there, I can go on a long lens and raise my camera up a little bit and you'll think the place is full. I can step back 20 feet and go into a wide lens and you'll think the place is empty. Neither of them are a lie, but neither of them are the truth. And so the thing is that the issue is we've had this thing where we don't understand how we can be manipulated by media for a very long time. And I'm speaking as someone who still has the shovels. The thing is that we do this all the time. We want to put the best face forward for whatever we're talking about. I think it's a benefit for us to go, hey, anything I see, I don't know what the answer is to that from one video. I'm going to need to see a bunch of different videos. I'm going to need to know what's the background of the people that are shooting it. That's what we should have been doing the whole time. And now that's what you have to do because you cannot trust the stuff I finally got into Sora 2, and the posts on Sora 2 are just hilarious. They're hilarious, but you're just like, oh my gosh, you cannot believe anything that you're looking at because nothing in Sora 2 they literally built it so that nothing in it is real. So when you look at it, everything is not real. It's just AI, but they a lot of stuff looks pretty real. That's all I got to say. But they're not. But they did it as a kind of a safety process. But you shouldn't have been paying attention to it. You shouldn't have been trusting it. There is no clip that you should look at and think that what happened. But you should take time to figure that out and try to figure out how you're going to know and know that you may not ever really know what happened. Next question.
Paul Valhus in Austin, Texas. How did it go in after hours yesterday with Mac Studio unboxing and the Mimo Live cloud install with Guy Cochran and Oliver and the group?
Go ahead, Ronnie.
It was amazing. I almost felt the smell from the new machine that Guy was opening, and
smell-o-vision.
That was very close to feeling the smell. And another thing, the way the community works when we are together in after hours and just pitch in with all these ideas and help each other to know. This was one pretty advanced setup that was done over some time, where Guy was the operating person with eyes and fingers on the device, and the way Guy and the team were setting up this pretty advanced setup for running shows in the cloud using Mimo Live. It's kind of an amazing experience, and I'm just in awe over all the inputs and the results of the entire process.
Good, Guy.
Yeah, it reminded me of the olden days of After Hours, because at the end of the show I said, "Hey, look what I got! I'm gonna open this up. Do you guys want to join me?" So I hooked up this camera and hooked up a decimator over there, and that feeds the HDMI out of that computer. So we unboxed it, and then we made it so that people could see the whole installation process from soup to nuts. So Alexander, thank you for helping adjust some of the settings of when you buy a brand new Mac. But this is the interface behind the scenes of what Mimo Live looks like for Extra Hours. And since I'm actually here locally with the machine, I played with it last night and actually did some 4K 60 at 50 megabit. And oh my God, it looks beautiful. I streamed for an hour, and it looks amazing. So I'm excited for the next Extra Hour show. But this is the box right here, and that's the machine underneath right there. Shiny new $1,999 machine. It's not the fastest one, but it's the one that they had in stock that we could get immediately. It was 36 gigs of RAM, 512 SSD. And the reason why we got this one is we couldn't do 4K the way that we wanted to with the M4 $500 one, because the Mac Mini was struggling at 80% utilization. So this one will let us do 4K. So if you're just doing HD, the Mac Mini's fine, but $1,999 for this as an appliance, essentially, as a hardcore encoder that'll do 50 megabits, pretty reasonable compared to an Osprey Talon or something like that. It is software, but treat it like an appliance and don't install.
Did you look at what it was running at? What the new one is running at?
50%.
50%. Yeah.
Yep.
Man, it's gonna be cool. Yeah, yep. Looking forward to seeing it. Yeah, absolutely. By the way, if you're watching the show on YouTube, you're missing half the show. If you want to try to get into Makana, where you can chat about the show, there's a whole chat of other people adding all kinds of other things to our answers that you're missing. Go to officehours.global/join and sign up, and we'll start sending you emails. There's access to Discord, access to Makana, and you'll become more part of the community. Next question.
This one is from Harold Williams in Portsmouth. If ProPresenter allows live video inputs, what prevents it from being a software switcher? I can overlay graphics, record, and do a live stream. It takes audio from the mixing board. I'm unsure what format the video will be in, but it's worth trying.
Go ahead, Courtney.
Well, it depends. If you're using this video in a live situation, the latency of ProPresenters at video inputs, encoding it and decoding it, is going to add several hundred milliseconds up to maybe a second of latency. So if your audio is coming in and being processed separately than the video, it's not going to be in sync. If you're using it for iMag to switch between video cameras in an iMag live situation, the image on the screen is not going to be in sync with the live audio that's coming out of the speakers in the room. And the person, if they're gesturing to the screen or something, the iMag is going to be about a second and a half later, or maybe up to a second or so later. So latency is the real problem with using live video in ProPresenter, because it's really not designed as a live video switcher that uses hardware and only uses, most live switchers only have, a frame or two of latency in them at most. So you may not notice it. But when something like ProPresenter that has to encode and decode everything at H.264 in real time, I think you're going to have too much latency.
Next question.
This is a QR code question from Mike Wilson in Phoenix, Arizona. Canon released version 1.7.10 of the EOS VR Utility for macOS. Exporting to MV-HEVC, APMP BT.709 is now available. Any thoughts on how this fits into an Apple Immersive video workflow for Vision Pro?
I haven't tested this yet, but one of I do have the camera, so we're going to definitely put this in and try to figure out what it can do. But there's been a lot of pressure on Canon, especially with the Blackmagic immersive camera coming out, to be able to kind of fit into the Apple workflow a little bit, and that is partially being able to do MV-HEVC as well as being able to manage the data of the lens data that it's delivering. So this looks like a step towards that. Without it tested, I don't know how well it works, but this should make using the Canon lens and the Canon system much easier for the Apple Vision Pro. So we'll do some more testing and hopefully talk about it next week. Next question.
Roz Humphreys in Comox, British Columbia, Canada is asking, I have no cost space, 16 by 16 approximately with a peaked roof. I will have to set up and tear down fairly easily. The space is not acoustically treated. I'm looking for some options as a quick pop-up backdrop with some sound management. Thanks.
Go ahead, Alex.
Yeah, so carrying acoustic panels is probably going to be out of the question. So you're probably looking at getting some... Well, there's a few things you can do. Pipe and drape is usually what I would probably put in a space that, was just temporary. And you can get that, 100% fullness in terms of you can get those thick theater blankets. You can also get heavy moving blankets as well. It just depends on what the budget is. The moving blankets are probably going to be cheaper than those expensive theater drapes. So again, it really depends. But either one will help soak up and dampen some of that sound and get rid of some of those standing waves in that room.
I go, Ronnie.
Yeah, what we've been using for some of the remote projects we are involved in is actually moving blankets, but the expensive version of those. I'm not sure there is too much difference between those ones that we are using from Local Booth to Go and the ones that you actually get. They have two different sides. They have a white side that you can use for reflecting lights from the sides, and it has a black side that do the opposite. So depending on your configuration, I wouldn't use this necessarily as a backdrop. Maybe I need to have a backdrop in addition to this one, maybe the right color, etc. But these products from Vocal Booth to Go has been really, really good, both audio-wise and being able to reflect or subtract light into the scene where the talents are. So it depends. Your mileage may vary.
Go ahead, Courtney.
Now, I've never tried this. This just when you use the word pop-up, I know what you're talking about, but my mind went to these kind of things that are, the pop-up tents that are designed to give you shade outdoors. You can get them at Home Depot, etc. And I'm wondering if you could use one of those because it's small enough. This one's a 10 by 10. You said you have a 16 by 16 area. You pop it up and then you hang some furniture pads on the sides here out of the shot to give you some acoustical control. And then you can hang just some green screen material on the back side of it. And just make sure you're not wide enough to have the person seated or raise it up high enough so that the canopy at the top is out of the frame. You could maybe even hang some small LED lights on that thing so it gives you kind of a little portable grid you could just pop up in the room, and when you're done, you can take it down, back it up, and throw it in your car.
Go ahead, Alex.
Yeah, and also another thing, I see this less often, but it is possible to bring acoustic panels on casters. You just have to get them manufactured. And you can make stuff like this yourself if you feel so inclined. You can also buy them pre-made. The thing is that they're a lot heavier, and you may need more space to carry them around. But you can get stuff without calling out specific companies. You can get stuff like this in various sizes. Oftentimes we refer to them as gobos, or, something that goes between something. So you can get them in various sizes like you see in this photo here, and those will work incredibly well.
The ones that I use are, and I think I'll show you. I think I've bought them a couple times. These are these 95-pound per dozen. 95 pound per dozen, and these are 80 by 72. They are white on one side, black on the other. They do not have grommets. I will tell you that there's a big thing that you pull down to put the grommets into them. That's what you use. Do not use the hammer because you will hit your thumb eventually, and then that's the end of putting the grommets in for a week. so anyway, because you got to let your thumb heal and come back together and all that other stuff. So there's you'll have to add the grommets to it. Now there's a thing, and Roz is going to know this, but for other people, when you think about putting up these moving blankets, there's a thing called fullness, and 100% fullness means that if it would pull straight across 100, it's folded like this. So that's 100%. It would be 50% of what's there. So so what you want to do is have a lot of fullness, so you have more than you need, and you'll stuff them in so they're all kind of lumpy. That's going to help in addition to them just being pulled. You don't want to pull them taut. You want to have them all have kind of a curtain feel to them, and then you can decide how much is white. Like the inside of all that you see here is all the blankets that I just showed you. And my room is unusable without it. Like it's completely unusable. But they're all set to white, so they got a little bit of reflection coming in, but I could patch that back and forth if I wanted to. Now, the other thing that you may need is something that you can set up quickly. A lot of these, a seamless backdrop is something that's really easy to set up. There's lots of them on Amazon. I'm not going to pick one for you. You got to decide what price you want to pay. These take about 5 minutes to set up, and you get like a nice little area, so you can just kind of set them up. We have used those all over the world, to do interviews. Now that doesn't handle your backdrop. That's something you got to figure out. But as far as like managing sound, we have put those up in many big corporations, most people say, hey, can you do the interview in the conference room? Which sounds horrible. Like you're like, how do you even use this conference room? And so you go in and immediately add all these things. Now, a lot of times we use C-stands for that, but C-stands are a bit heavy. If these seamless mounts are a lot easier to manage. Next question.
Tony Mobley in Noonan, Georgia asks, is it a good idea to get a PTZ camera now for House of Worship for the new building that can be used as a webcam and for outside events as the building is under construction?
Go ahead, Guy.
Yeah, this is one of those depends. It depends on how far away is construction and finishing, because a lot could change. We got some big trade shows coming up, ISE, Infocom, NAB. These are all where you go and you check this stuff out. So if your budget's huge and you could get one of these things like a Sony AM7 for $13,000 and you have the means to pick up multiples of these, then I would probably get one right away, because you can get to work and get to knowing it and using it. As far as leaving it out in the elements or any of that, that's not the right tool. So it depends, again, on your budget. So if I was to get something today and I knew I was going to get AM7s, I would just get an FX6 because the same Sony sensor is in both cameras. So you would have a wide shot, let's say, for instance, that you just were going to not need the PTZ capabilities. So for half the price, you pick up a similar sensor in that family. So on the Panasonic side, if you were to go Panasonic, you're looking at a UE160. The equivalent is a CX370, which you could pick up again. It's just a regular camcorder, and I would get that. If I was going to get something now, I would get that smaller model that I can use for other things. To me, a handy cam style camera is more usable in the meantime while a building's being worked on, because I could go interview people, I could take it with me, I could throw it on a tripod, do whatever. So I don't know if I'd get a PTZ unless you're just talking about these simple PTZ optics. I have 3 of these little Move SEs, and they're only like $1,200, but the picture quality doesn't hold a candle to what some of these other cameras are capable of. I mean, the 3rd-inch CCD, I mean, it's not pretty as opposed to some of these bigger, larger sensor ones.
They make a variety. One thing if anyone's building a new building, I'll always say you should find some all-weather thing, not necessarily a PTZ, just an all-weather camera that you can put out there that'll do time-lapse over very long periods of time. A bunch of these are, they're often designed for construction, and those are cool. If you're going to break ground and do it, it's something that you do have to kind of manage, make sure it's still working. But the people who have pulled those off, and I've done ones over days. I know some people who have done them over months, like 8 or 9 months of time lapse. And it's just the most amazing thing to see if you can pull it off. I know a lot of people who planned to do it for months and ended up doing it for weeks because something, went wrong. So those are the other things to think about. Oftentimes the most successful ones are done when I do them for a lot of the events that I used to do. we'd load in, and I'd load 4 GoPros in from different angles, and then I would do a time lapse from the different angles. And part of the reason I did that is so that if one failed or got blocked by a scissor lift or something else, I had somewhere else to go. So I'd be cutting around that process. But think about those for the outside area. As far as interviews, I have to say that unless you're going to spend real money, really think hard about using an iPhone 17. Like, I'm shooting with it all over the place. And, it's able to shoot really good content. This is shot at, I shot this over the weekend at night. This is at night. This is my daughter's the bass player in this band. And, but this is 2 iPhone 17s cutting back and forth, for this, and you're able to kind of, it's not perfect, but it's at night. Like, it is at night. And it's got stabilization. It's got a lot of other, bits and pieces to it. The form factor of it makes it work really, really well. There's plenty of cameras that are better than the iPhone 17 for what you're doing. But if you're going to spend less than $1,000, not many. So at $1,000, you're going to get it's going to be really hard to best a 17 Pro. Next question.
Paul Valhus in Austin, Texas asks, how do you wake on LAN with an M series Mac?
I'll go ahead, Jason.
Mark this in your calendar, Paul. It does not depend. It's exactly the way you would do this for any other Mac running modern Mac OS. You open Preferences and you type in Wake, and under Energy Saver, you have this Wake for Network Access toggle. And I highly recommend Alex's strategy of start up automatically after a power failure. That makes it much more appliance ready and eliminates the need for the button.
I do that with all my computers. So it just makes it much simpler. Quick reminder that today at 2 o'clock, we're going to have the Zoom team back. Andy and Jonathan and others will be coming back to talk about the graphics toolkit. So this will be another little workshop. The last workshop was amazing. So we're going to have another one here at 2 o'clock this afternoon. If you want to be part of it, you can just go. This is not going to be an after hours because there's some other permissions that they require. So you want to go to officehours.global/Zoom Lab. So you can go sign up there, but all the information you need to join is there. So check it out. Next question.
Eddie Kokendorf from Vera, Florida, USA asks, I have an update notice on macOS Sequoia that pops up only when I log off Apple Remote Desktop. How do I prevent this from happening? The macOS endpoint is my backup Zoom source. Thanks.
Go ahead, Alex.
I'm not sure we have enough information, because when you're saying you have an update notice, what is this update notice? Well, what is it? What does it actually say? If it's only showing up when you get off of Apple Remote Desktop, it makes me think that maybe the Remote Desktop app needs to be updated. But the Apple Remote Desktop app, as far as I know, is built into macOS Sequoia, so it's not like that needs an update. I use the built-in remote desktop on a Sequoia machine here. I've never seen that issue. So maybe, Andy, if you can tell us exactly, or send us a screenshot on Discord or some way to send us that so we can try and figure out exactly what is causing that.
And Mickey said, turn off notifications, turn on do not disturb, use Zoom ISO. Yeah, and Andy, I would say that if you're doing anything that matters with Zoom outputs, Zoom ISO is your friend. And I know you know that, so I'm just telling other people. But I would never use Zoom as a source today without Zoom ISO. I would not, or one of the Zoom direct output solutions. But screen scraping is something that, look, if your client makes you use Teams, then screen scrape. That's what they get. But but don't build a generalized solution that requires screen scraping, because it really needs to be put to bed. Next question.
This one is from Tony Mobley in Newton, Georgia. Has anyone gotten their Sora 2 invite?
One of my followers on X did give me an invite, so I got it last night. It is both terrifying and hilarious and fun all at the same time. I haven't done very much with it yet, but I'm hoping this weekend I'll probably spend a little time trying to do something. So we'll see. I've had a couple videos in my head that I thought would be fun to do, and now I have a tool to give it a shot. I immediately ran up against. I have this thing about minions. I think minions are really funny, and so I make lots of minions videos for fun. And it's the way I test things about. You have to have some kind of. But of course, the problem is that it's a copyright thing. So anyway, I got a beeping going on here. My battery's going bad. Next question.
This one's from Zach Stallsmith in Chautauqua, New York. On my ATEM Mini Pro ISO, can I use a downstream key to have lower thirds for multiple participants?
Go ahead, Jason.
Full stop. Yes, there are so many ways that I'm kind of like flooded by the different ways. Simplest, like self-contained way would be to create a macro, store that macro on the switcher that corresponds to the camera number and the lower third that would basically prime the lower third that you want for the participant and then switch to the camera, so that instead of switching to 3, you would use macro 3, and that would queue up and then present the lower third, and you could just switch from the bus.
Next question. I got a beeping, so I'm going to hand this to the next question.
This one is from Tony Mobley in Noonan, Georgia. Panel, please describe the value of the free Lutz in the Blackmagic Design Camera app.
I think that I'm sorry, I can't. No one else raised their hand, so I got to answer this with a beep. So
it's okay, Alex.
So,
I got it.
I got it.
So the value of the Lutz in the Blackmagic camera app are the same as the value of Lutz anywhere else. It allows you to transform the color space and use it in the pipeline that you would otherwise be using, nothing at all. And it allows you to do this in a reliable manner.
I'm gonna. Sorry, it sounds
you want me to do the
outro? No, I just want to thank everyone. Go ahead, Guy. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, like you can see right now, the sun's coming out, and I forgot to pull down my shade. So, in an example like this, where if you shot without a LUT, maybe this is going to be completely blown out. And I'm in a little small window, so I can't see how blown out this actually is. But with a LUT, a lot of times you could shoot with this full. You get way more color to play with in post. So if you know that you're going to go into Resolve and you're going to play with it, and you can apply a LUT that takes it from HDR, let's say, to 709, and now you're going to put it up on YouTube or on your website or something like that, you would want to shoot that way. But some people just go, I just want to shoot it. I just want to post it to social. I don't need to mess with LUTs. So if you don't have problems like this and you don't care, like it's fine, just roll out. Don't use the LUTs. It's just added processing, and you could really screw up color if you don't know what you're doing inside of Resolve, and you could make stuff posterize out and make casts happen because you don't have accurate cards. Because a lot of times you'll shoot a little color chip chart, and then you'll match that and create the LUT. So it just depends on how much post-processing that you want to do and how much storage, because some of these files can get monstrous if you are shooting with the full range, full color, rather than just 709.
Good, Ronnie.
Yeah, so during IBC, we were using the camera app from Blackmagic, and in this scenario, we just had iPhones, so we knew that all the images were becoming very consistent throughout. But in the case that you are mixing this, let's say we would have our DJI action cams, or we would have Sony S3s or FX3s or whatever, you obviously need to be able to do some color correcting. And the question is, are you going to do that in camera, or are you going to do that in post-production? So at IBC, we had this intention of having the content out in YouTube just minutes after we actually were recording it. And we kind of used the camera to cloud functionality within Blackmagic's ecosystem, where we were shooting on Blackmagic camera apps, put it into the cloud, and our editor Kjetil was sitting in the media room or media area and was just pulling those video down into DaVinci Resolve and had it going out in no time. And we didn't care too much about the quality of the video. It was more like time to market what was most important for us. But in those cases where you need to be mixing and matching cameras, we might as well just use the LUT inside the camera app, because that would be much easier for Kjetil to do the edit on, and everything would be coming into DaVinci Resolve kind of pre-made and everything looking nice and fine. So the ability to have LUTs inside the app is really great. I haven't been testing that yet, and I'm a little bit scared of the file sizes that has already been mentioned. So I would just ask you to test it and report back your results.
Courtney, then Jason. When I get back, I won't be beeping.
Okay. And, well, you know, what everyone else has said about the LUT, LUTS. If you're looking for a triple LUTs, this is what one looks like on your Blackmagic camera. There it is. Okay, triple LUTs. That's 3 LUTs in a row.
You know, the other thing is, aside from free, I think, Tony, what you mean is the built-in LUTs, and those are actually kind of some of the most useful LUTs that Blackmagic has. You can shoot in iPhone RAW, for example, and down the pipe be live transmitting with the LUT in line to to any other camera. So you can shoot in RAW, you can shoot in web constraint, in film, in any of the other Blackmagic. There are 3 standards, I think. And, it allows you to transform with one, show one, and then record in the other.
Thank you so much for the great questions today. I know I have a beep. So thanks to the producers. A lot of wide range of questions, which is makes the show really great. So thank you so much for keeping this show floating on your questions, and thanks to the answers to all the panelists here. We can't do this without you, and it's so great to see everybody here today. And thanks to the incredible team on the back end that makes this possible. Not a run-of-the-mill Zoom show, as you can see. So really appreciate everybody's contribution. There's a little village that gets up every day to make sure that this happens, and we appreciate their contribution. Today, if we had done this in person, we would have traveled the Tlaloc Traversal. We would have traveled 44,000 miles. That is 71,000 kilometers, and that is 348 million bananas for scale. All right, let's go ahead and jump into After Hours. I bought the battery. I bought the battery to fix it, and then I put it somewhere. I can't find it, but the alarm system went off. I was busy, and I put it down somewhere, and I was like, I gotta replace that battery.
It's the one thing that doesn't have an air tag in your life, Howard.
Well, it just came in from Amazon.
How old was that battery? How long did that last?
5 years. I mean, it's
okay. Is that the expected life for those?
Sorry, I don't know. I don't know what the length is. Sorry,
is it one of those 1500 VAs?
Yeah. It's why I buy them is because I can replace the battery. So it's the smallest APC that you can replace the battery, I think.
Yeah, more than once I have perma-muted that stupid piezoelectric thing just by opening the board and breaking it off.
We used them as a power supply for lights in the White House so that we could move these sets around and everything else. They worked great, but we had to do exactly what Jason said. We had to open them up, take the PCO out, put them back together. But then we had to put big signs on them that says these are mute. They just had this big button on it that said mute, mute, mute. So you knew